is Mike, Family DIY TV on the YouTube, and today we are unfortunately closing the pool. It's that time of year, fall's among us, and we got to close this pool. So what I wanted to do in this video, I'm going to show you all the stages of closing the pool. Okay, from the planning stage to actually putting the cover on and closing it and saying goodnight for the season. So we're going to get into it now. You're gonna close your pool, and let's say you're gonna do it about a week from now. Okay, so what you wanna do is you wanna start focusing on cleaning the water, keeping the water as clean as possible and get your chemicals perfect, okay? While you're doing that, what you also wanna do is start getting your closing supplies. So things like, if you probably already have them, but plugs, and I keep all my stuff together for closing. Mine take number 10, and then I actually use a number 11 to plug my pump so that I can blow air and clean the lines out, which I'll show you a little bit later, okay? So, and to do that, you also need this fitting. This is just a normal compressor fitting, okay? So, start getting those supplies together. Along with those supplies, you'll also need something like a Gizzmo. So I just got the biggest Gizzmo they sell. This is just worth it. Just go and buy this. It's a very cheap insurance. I think they're like 20 bucks. I'll put a link to it below. But this goes in your skimmer and keeps your skimmer from breaking. Some people put plastic bottles in there. And really what this is doing is it's a plug, but it's also keeping, if any water gets in the skimmer, which it will, it keeps it from expanding and cracking the skimmer. You don't want to deal with that. The next thing you want to do is you probably want to get yourself some antifreeze. Okay, you can get this. Just make sure that it says it's for swimming pools. If it's for an RV or anything that you can eat, it's pretty much safe for your swimming pool. Okay, this is not antifreeze that you put in your car. You also want to get your winterizing chemicals. Okay, so you might say, well, Mike, I don't know what chemicals do I get? Now, I would say leave this up to your builder, whoever built your pool, or someone that you trust. Ask them what they use. For a concrete pool, it's going to be a little different than for a vinyl pool or for a fiberglass pool. Okay, so make sure that you get your winterizing chemicals. These are the ones I use. All I did was I just contacted the builder and said, hey, what should I use to close the pool? And he gave me this kit. This kit actually I was able to use for 2 years because of the size of the kit. Okay, that is about it. Okay, so now we'll move on to tools. Really the only tools you need some channel locks and socket kit. Okay, just some sockets to remove like your ladders and stuff like that. You need a compressor. Okay, we're gonna use this compressor here, or a shop vac, but I find that my compressor actually works a lot better. Last year I tried to use a shop vac, it just didn't cut it. It wouldn't blow out the drain. So I think I have a list, I think that is it. That's all the things that we need. I'll put a list right here next to me of everything that you need. All right, and then we'll get to actually the day of closing the pool and what you should do. Okay, morning of, what you should do. You should actually lower your water down, start lowering your water down to a few inches below your skimmer. Okay, once you do that, you want to start adding all of your chemicals. So read your chemicals that you have and make sure you start adding them in increments that it says. Some say you may have to add an hour and then wait another hour and add the next chemical, whatever. Okay, then while the chemicals are working, what I do is I go around, I start cleaning up the area, I remove all the ladders. I'll show you that now. And then I move on to backwashing. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna lower the water down to almost around the skimmer, and then I'm gonna backwash my filter a lot. And I'm gonna get rid of that last amount of water that I need. And at the same time, what that's gonna do is it's gonna get my water level down to where I need it to be, which is a few inches below your skimmer. And it's also gonna backwash my filter. So now my filter is clean. And then I can pretty much turn the system off, all right? And at that point, you can turn the system off and you're gonna get ready to blow out the lines, which is kind of I would say the most, I wouldn't say it's the hardest part, but it's definitely the part you want to spend the most time or the most detail on, as well as making sure your water is clean, because that'll make your opening a lot better. And then speaking of opening, I actually have a video on opening, and I'll put it right here. If you want to know how to open your pool and have it crystal clear, watch that video and watch this video, and I'll show you. Okay, now if the water's at the right level, we're going to kill the power to the entire system. All right, now so to clear all the lines, that's why we need this little piece. What we're gonna do is we're gonna come down here, over here, if you show this, pull this little drain plug out, and we're gonna place it with this. We're gonna screw that in there, and this is where we're gonna hook our compressor line up to. We're only gonna hand tighten this. We're not gonna, no need to over tighten it. And we're gonna put the lid back on. But before that, we're gonna actually, that's why we have this number 11. We're gonna block one of the sides. So we're gonna start with the supplies, okay? So we are going to block off this side with this. And then what that's gonna do is gonna stop the air from going here. It's gonna force the air that way through the system, and then it's gonna blow out the pool. And you'll show that, I'll show you that next. All right, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna blow out each line. So we're gonna start with this sweep line. So we're gonna turn these off. We're gonna hook this up, and we're gonna go over to the pool, and we're gonna see the air coming out of that line. All right, so we're getting all the air, all the water out of here, out of this line, and we're gonna plug it. As soon as I go to plug it, I'm gonna yell at them and tell them to switch it to the other 2 lines. Then those lines are gonna plug. 1, 2, 3, now! Cleared all the air out of this line, we swapped it over, we shut this off, and we're moving on to this line now. This line has 2 returns, or 2 supplies that are actually blowing water. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna rehook up the compressor, we're gonna blow air through this one now, and what's gonna happen is the line that's closest to this is actually gonna go first. We're gonna clog that one, you're gonna see me do that, and then we'll go to the furthest one, and then we'll clog that. As soon as we clog that one, we need to pull the compressor line off of this fitting, because we don't wanna blow the pipes, right? It's pretty important that you have 2 people when you're doing this. So as soon as you clog that second, or plug that second one up, you're gonna wanna pull this off, okay? Not just turn the compressor off, but actually pull it off. All right, go. All right, now when I plug this one, we're gonna look over there, that one's gonna start going. And that's gonna be the last one we do. You ready? 3, 2, 1. Now look over there. Now what I said is when we plug this one, we plug this one, we're gonna make sure we disconnect the compressor from there, okay? Because now we're gonna have full air in that line and we don't wanna blow it. All right, so 3, 2, now. Good job. Good job, guys. All right, so we already sealed off the supply side, so now we're gonna work on the return side, or the suction side. Okay, so we're gonna start with the skimmer. We're just gonna get all the water out of here. You can get a shop vac and get this out, or you can do what I'm doing. No big deal. We just want the water out as much as we can before we start blowing it out. So now we're gonna come over here. We're gonna open up our, no, it's this way. We're gonna open that up, wow. We're gonna take this out, we're gonna flip it now. So we're gonna put it on this side so we block all the air going this way. And what this is gonna do is force all the air this way towards our skimmer and towards our main drain. So I'm gonna tighten that up. It's kind of tough to get in there, but you can do it. It doesn't have to be super tight, because actually as the pressure, it'll push it in there. Then what we're gonna do is we're going to close the drain. So we're gonna open the skimmer and allow the air to go through here and blow over there. All right, so let's do that right now. We're gonna close this up nice and tight. And we're gonna hook this on, and we're gonna see a geyser in about 5 seconds. We're getting all that water out, and it's okay, it's going back in the pool. Okay, so we got as much water as we could. We let this recharge until the compressor turned back off, and now we're gonna reconnect it. When we reconnect it, should blow the rest of that water out. So go over there. Okay, so the lines are all clear, no more water. So now what we're gonna do is we can take a gallon of this antifreeze. This is cheap stuff. It's really a cheap insurance. We're just gonna pour the whole thing in there. All right, so now that once the antifreeze is in there, we're gonna put our Gizzmo. Can you go get? All right, hand tight. Give me another gallon.
But you use a total of 2?
Total of 2 for just this.
Okay.
Where is it going?
It's gonna just fill it up. All right. Cheap insurance. Cheap insurance. All right, so the next step is, and the last step here, for the lines at least, is we're gonna drain the water out of these main two drains. Okay, so we're actually gonna blow air into the system over there and have it go through the system underground and blow out here. Okay, and then we're gonna close off the main drain. And what that's gonna do is actually cause an airlock, and it's gonna stop the water from going back down in there. So let's show you how to do that. Okay, so now we're at the plumbing. We're gonna turn the main drain on, okay? Then what we're gonna do is we're going to connect the air supply to the pump. What that's gonna do is gonna go in here. The air is gonna come through here. It's gonna go through the main drain. It's gonna fill this entire line up with water, with air. It's gonna push all the water out, which is exactly what we want. It's gonna blow air out the main drains. Then what we're gonna do is we're going to, simultaneously, we're going to then turn the main drain off. So see, this is off, and we're gonna pull this off. And what that's gonna do is that's gonna keep this pipe full of air, okay? So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna show you that right now. So drain on, this on here. We're gonna go over here. Ready? 1, 2, done. So now the main drain is full of air. Okay, now the last step is to drain all the water out of your pump, out of your filter, and if you have a salt cell, you want to drain the water out of here. So we're going to start with the pump real quick. We're going to pull all the plugs out, get all the water out, put everything in here. Back in there. We're going to take this off. We're going to take the drain off the bottom. Oh. All right, next step, we're just going to drain our salt cell. We want to make sure there's no water in there. And that it's clean, and it is. All right, now what I'm doing, I'm just squeezing as much of this antifreeze into the pipe as I can. And I get most of it in there. And what I do is I just poke 2 holes so it kind of goes in there with some kind of force.
And you squeeze it.
Yeah, we're getting most in there.
Some may leak, but as long as
it's not a big deal.
As long as you get a bunch in there.
Yeah, as much as you can. Very cheap insurance. You could also take this apart and you can pour it in there, but we're not going to do that. All right.
We're doing a second bottle.
All right, one step, you don't want anyone to mess with this. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take this off. Put it right in here if we can get it in there with the knob. Now we're going to put our salt cell back together.
Do not mess with this.
With what?
We do not mess with this for what reason?
Because you don't want you don't want water in the line.
Oh.
Right? So what we did is we forced air through it. So there was no water in this line. Because if water is in this line and it freezes, what's it going to do? What does water do when it freezes?
It's going to expand and break that part that you just poured pink stuff in.
Or it's going to break this line, right? Underground. And that would be bad. So that's why we did that. We got rid of all the water that was in the line, right? Mm-hmm. And then what we did is when we had air in it, we locked it. And when you lock it, the air actually it's called an airlock. And it stops any water from going back into the drain. Don't ask me the physics on it. Okay, so just to finish off here with all the plumbing, what I do is I put the cap, I just put it back on just about a full 1 turn. And the reason why I do that is it allows the water to just drain out that's in there, but it keeps any mice or anything or any animals from making a nest in there, because I'm sure that would be a nice spot for them for the winter. So we put our salt cell back on. We removed this because this is an airlock and we don't want anyone messing with this. So I removed the cap, put everything inside here. We put our antifreeze in here. The power's off. This is pretty much it. I just washed everything down. That's pretty much it. You know what? Actually, something I'm going to do. I am going to put my drain plugs just in a hair of a turn, barely any, just a quarter of a turn. That allow any water that's in there to get out, but it will keep animals from getting in there. And if I lose that, which I won't, they're only a couple cents. All right, so that is it. We'll close this up. We're gonna move on to covering the pool. So now we're at the point where we're gonna cover the pool. So this is really, depends on what kind of cover you have. So I'll show you the kind of cover I have. It's worked out fine. It's not a safety cover yet. Once this one goes, I'm gonna get a safety cover. But we're gonna do that now, and it's good to get some helpers, so, or some nephews. So we're gonna do this now. All right, so we're finishing up the pool closing. This is kind of a sad day, but it's a good day. Thanks to my helpers. All right, so we're finishing up now. The only thing that we need to do is put all of our closing supplies away. And what I do is I have a bin, and I take it out when I open the pool. I have all the stuff that I use to close, and vice versa. So this is all my stuff I use in the winter, and then I put all the stuff that I use in the summer. Obviously the pool supplies in the same bin, so that basically I know where everything is. It's always nice and neat, and all my other kind of stuff is in there. So I hope this helped you. I hope this gave you the confidence to close your own pool. If it did, I would ask you, I mean, at this point in the video, it's the end, so you got this far. Why don't you like the video? Why don't you subscribe to the channel? And why don't you leave me a comment below? All right, I really appreciate watching. I appreciate you. I appreciate my helpers. And that's it on Family DIY TV. We're out.
We will be back with the cover.
And his son.
Yeah. On the fuse. So we're gonna do this now.